The Fourth Amendment prohibits irrational searches and seizures without logical reasoning. This means that a person cannot be searched by law officials unless what they are doing is suspicious or if they are under arrest. This amendment was ratified on December 15, 1791. It was made in order to protect two fundamental liberties, the right to privacy and freedom from arbitrary invasions.
There have been many court cases in which the Fourth Amendment has been challenged and redefined. One of the court cases we will talk about is Mapp v. Ohio, which occurred in 1960.
In this case, a woman named Dolly Mapp was believed to be hiding another man who was a suspect of a bombing as well as having gambling paraphernalia inside of her home. Police officials observed her house and then forced their way in without a search warrant. They found a trunk that had pornographic material and charged her with possessing obscene materials.
The court found her guilty and sentenced her to jail. Mapp and her attorney appealed the case to the Ohio Supreme Court. Their argument was that because there was no search warrant, it was illegal to use what they found against her. The appeal was denied because they felt that the evidence was taken peacefully and not forcefully.
They then went to the U.S. Supreme Court and she was found guilty. Fourth Amendment protections were incorporated into the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. This incorporation resulted in requiring state and local police to comply with Fourth Amendment standards in regards to searches and extended the exclusionary rule to trials in state courts.
Another interesting case is Katz v. U.S., which was held in 1967. This case involved a defendant who unknowingly had an electronic listening device placed on the outside of a telephone booth he occupied, and the government was able to seize his phone conversation.
The Supreme Court has found that a person generally has a reasonable expectation of privacy in their own home and body, which means that certain property or places cannot be involuntarily viewed or inspected by third parties. In this hearing, the lower court held that this was not a search because the wall of the phone booth had not been physically penetrated. The ruling was based on Olmstead v. United States, in which the Supreme Court had ruled that a tap of a telephone did not constitute a search.
The Supreme Court ruled that the electronic listening to and recording of Mr. Katz's conversation violated the privacy upon which he justifiably relied and thus constituted a search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment. Justice John M. Harlan, in a concurring opinion, established a two-part test for this right of privacy. First, a person must exhibit an actual expectation of privacy. Second, this expectation must be one that society recognizes as reasonable.
Out of the many court cases that have tried to redefine the Fourth Amendment, this next one is a bit different. It has to do with whether or not it is okay for U.S. agents to search property that is owned by a non-resident alien and located in a foreign country. It goes back to a 1990 court case, U.S. versus Verdugo Urquidez.
In this case, a man named Rein Martin Verdugo Urquidez, who is a citizen of Mexico, was believed the leader of a group of violent Mexican groups who smuggled narcotics into the U.S. After he was arrested, the Drug Enforcement Administration searched the houses of those involved and seized certain documents that were found. The Director General of the Mexican Federal Judicial Police authorized the searches, but no search warrant from a U.S. magistrate was ever received.
At the trial, the district court granted Verdugo Urquidez's motion to suppress the evidence on the ground that the search violated the Fourth Amendment to the federal Constitution. They ruled that the Fourth Amendment does not apply to the search and seizure by United States agents of property owned by a non-resident alien and located in a foreign country.
The Fourth Amendment is an important part of the Constitution that grants people the rights to privacy so that they cannot be searched unless it is justifiable. These specific court cases show that even though personal privacy is important, it is also important that safety is ensured throughout the country.
Created using Powtoon.